Okay, so just to tell you about the programme then and what our what our intention is and where we're going. All of the programme, as you know, is rooted, it's not just plucked out of the sky, it's rooted in research. We're heavily involved with the Royal Academy of Engineering in all of the work around engineering in primary schools and what we coin tinkering for learning. So we've got a strong understanding of what we wish this to look like and why, and how that roots itself back to professional engineering practices. And the programme will always and has always entailed 3 phases. So there's a teacher CPD, teacher development. There's also some work that will go on with pupils in school, and usually there's an off-site challenge day. You saw that right at the beginning. Children would normally come to the university, and you know, in normal circumstances I'd be saying the same, but I'm going to give you an insight into how we plan to move that forward as we go through this current year, to make sure that, you know, COVID's done a lot, hasn't it? It's done a lot in terms of moving online practices forward, but we also want it to make sure that children have the opportunity to be engaged in really meaningful science and engineering applied activities going forward, in whatever circumstance we end up in, and however that looks, however our bubbles seem. And so that's very much the same as we were with the Great Science Share. We don't want to postpone and we do not want to cancel. We just want to look at how we can do it differently. And the confidence that the Great Science Share gave us last week, where 90,700 children actually were registered to take part, and 50,000 of those came just in lockdown, just gives us confidence that we can find a way through if we're creative. But it will still be rooted, we'll draw in on the best of GMEC, in that it will make a really clear curriculum proposal to you in terms of looking at how we use and apply the learning that is going on in your classrooms anyway. So it's yes, science, technology, engineering and maths, but there's a big plus to that as well, and we'll talk through the other curriculum links that will be attended to within this project. What GMEC also does is develop lots of engineering habits of mind for the children and getting them to understand and use the engineering design process, and also develops a very strong awareness of science and engineering in the world around us. So what would now be coined science capital, or what you could extend that, science and engineering capital. So I'm just going to ask Julie to take the next slide from a teacher's perspective at Roadheath Primary School. Julie, in terms of coverage for curriculum, where do you think, how do you think GMEC supports?
Well, I think it's quite interesting, Lynn, looking at the group chat, because from what I'm reading, the majority of people who've actually answered are doing engineering in clubs. And I think the really good thing about GMEC is that what we try to do is align GMEC to the national curriculum, so you're able to meet quite a lot of, well, a vast amount of objectives in a hands-on and engaging way, which means that this can be embedded within the curriculum, as opposed to trying to find space additionally to carry the project out. So if you look at some of the things that we are covering on the screen, there's a huge amount of numeracy in there. The essence of the project is to build develop an area of land to house a community, and this involves looking at the costings of materials, housing. There are scale drawings in there, so you're looking at units of measurement. There's a huge opportunity to take this as a project and perhaps do it within your numeracy lessons. There's a lot of science in there. Often I'm asked, where's the biology in engineering? And this is a really good challenge to work scientifically in the biology area, because we're looking at the impact on the environment, ecosystems. Are there any species that you have to think about that are on the land? Do you have to make any arrangements for them in terms of protecting them? There's huge opportunities for literacy as well. Once you develop your community, there's obviously opportunities to market it through promotional material. You can use it as a narrative writing activity, develop some families on there, how the families interact. And last year we actually introduced a computing element where we looked at 3D modelling software such as Tinkercad. So that was a new skill that actually pupils learnt. And obviously DT, every aspect of DT is covered, is it not, Lynn? Including cooking, I thought, because if you have a garden, there's an opportunity there to decide what you're going to do with your homegrown vegetables. There you go.
Thank you. So we're working with experienced teachers to map curriculum, both at year 5, 6, the later end of primary. That's not to say that year 3, 4 couldn't be. We wouldn't extend this down into Key Stage 1 at this point. That's not our recommendation, but that doesn't stop somebody taking it on as a whole school initiative. It's just that the resources that will be written will be more mapped to our junior age phases. And also up into Key Stage 3. So I'm just going to ask Rose just to speak as a right. My connection's gone and gone. Is it working, Julie?
Yeah, I can hear you again now.
Okay, yeah, it's just said it was wobbling then. So
we lost you for a second, Lynn.
Okay, sorry.
For a bit, Lynn.
Oh, if so,
we might have lost her again.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that, Rose?
Yeah.
What about the Key Stage 3?
Yeah.
Hello everyone. For those of you who don't know me, because I know a couple of you on here already, but I'm Rose Edmondson, currently teaching science at a school over in Rochdale, but I'm also a fellow for the University of Manchester and for the theory team. So I started in January and thoroughly enjoyed being involved in the project this year. I started to sort of look at where the links were at Key Stage 3, and I can't remember who it was who just posted a comment in the chat, but Julie, who said that she teaches up in Scotland there, and she's looking at linking this project with primaries, which I think is a fantastic idea. But this sort of slide, I'm not going to go through it all, but it gives you an idea as to sort of the coverage. But I was saying, and I think Dan, you probably agree with me, that actually when you start looking, the opportunities to sort of map this alongside the curriculum are just massive. You know, I could probably have put in definitely more than just not you should just say just maths, technology and science, but those are the obvious ones, the first ones that you think of. But like what you were saying before, Julie, about how you can also link it to literacy as well, I could have put a slide up on that, but then I sort of thought, well, actually then I can look at business studies as well. And you know, it's sort of knowing where to stop. Actually, it's quite easy to make curriculum links, I think. So those are just a few, but yeah, the links are vast basically, and we're definitely going to be looking moving forward to where the discrete links in particular topics are as well.
Right.
No, this project is not just about discrete engineering, it's about developing a mindset within children, and we look extensively at something called engineering habits of mind, which is it's probably something that some of you are aware of. This came from a report by the Royal Academy of Engineering, where they asked engineers specifically what skills they needed to do their jobs, and out of that came these habits of mind, which are very small on my screen at the moment, but things like systems thinking, adapting, problem solving, creative problem solving. So when we do this challenge, we get the children to become familiar with these habits and work in this particular way. We're also very focused on the engineering design project. So the first,
oh, I must be back. I must be back.
Yeah, you're back.
All right, okay. I was just talking about.
I mentioned. Yeah.
I mentioned. Oh, you heard me. Yes. Yeah, so
brilliant. Great plug. That's the sound of a good team. So
I was just about to say about the engineering design process and how our project sort of breaks down into the different elements, doesn't it? So first of all, the first elements of it, we ask the children to ask and imagine and to plan and we normally come together, don't we, on a celebration day where we do the create elements.
Yeah, thank you so
works.
much. That's right. So yeah, just
Okay.
yeah, brilliant, well plugged. So the curriculum thing, as Rose said, I think it was a really pertinent thing that Rose said. Curriculum links can be made all over the place, but because we've got teachers who are practicing teachers in school, we will be selecting the ones that most reside within your curriculum. We're conscious that we've also got schools beyond England on the call as well today, and therefore if it needs to map to Scottish curricula or Welsh or Northern Ireland, we'll be looking to see how best we can do that too, sometimes with your support. So please don't think it's so much of a topic, it's not going to cover anything. But I think the best thing to say is it's the application of knowledge that you're going to get through this. It's the reason and the purpose for using maths, and the reason and purposeful use of STEM subjects. Okay, so in terms of Science Capital, we thought the best way of hearing about this was for somebody who embodies it. Lauren came and was part of our group who met teachers last year. Some of you might remember her. And so when thinking about civil engineering, which will be the focus of this year's project again, sometimes we change engineering focuses, but given that where we're at and the excitement and traction that last year's project had, we're going to stick with civil engineering. Now that might seem quite distant from primary schools, you know, what on earth, there's nothing in our curriculum that talks about civil. But it's about space, it's about where we live, it's about the world around us, it's about understanding that. And Lauren will talk to us a little bit about that, and hopefully you'll be able, you know what, I'm just going to double check I've shared this screen properly, because if I haven't, then it's not going to pop up with sound. So just bear with me, I'm not doing a great job at the tech today. This should mean...
So why is civil engineering so important? Civil engineering is crucial to day-to-day life, and that is why we're often known as the unsung heroes of society. And that's because you cannot go about your day without civil engineering. So as soon as you get up in the morning, brushing your teeth, having a wash, a shower, that's all water transportation, part of civil engineering. Going about your everyday life, getting to where you need to be, whether that be by roads, highways or rail, again that's transportation, civil engineering. Whatever it is you're doing with your day, going shopping, working, so shopping centres, offices, all the buildings again are down to civil engineering, and that is why civil engineers are so important to society.
Wow, we couldn't have said that better. I hope that was all right in terms of coming across. But Dan McDonough, I'd like to introduce him now from Class of Your Own, who will talk about the real and authentic links that we'll be building with industry partners in this programme.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm Dan McDonough. I've been teaching 12 years. I've been working with the University of Manchester and Surrey and the team for over 5 years. I'm also the STEM coordinator at St Ambrose Barlow, and civil engineering for us as a school is central really to our STEM initiative and our development plan, and we use civil engineering to contextualise both the applied maths and the applied science and even the literacy to enhance our curriculum. So it's something that is embedded within our curriculum. It's something that has improved numeracy and literacy. Our maths GCSEs, those that take on the civil engineering, go up by half a grade compared to those that don't. And the real sort of success story of all of that is students like Lauren. So Lauren was one of my students. She's one of around 30 students now that have gone into engineering, architecture, or the professional roles within the built environment, and doing fantastic things. And so it's something that's very sort of close to my heart, and I'm a firm believer that civil engineering is a great context to really sort of explore STEM. And you've got a fantastic project here in order to do that as well. So don't worry if you don't know much about civil engineering, because you've got a great team to support you through that, as well as some fantastic engineering industry specialists that you see on the screen there, so like Jacobs, like Belford Beatty and like Siemens, and they will be there to support you at every step along the way as well. And it's just really important to understand that civil engineering is everything around us, and as Lauren said, from bridges to infrastructure, roads, rail, water, electricity. It's all around us, and so therefore it's a great tool to really engage students.
Thanks, Dan. And we really found that last year, which is why we're sticking with it. It gave children a real understanding about the world around them and gave us a real rich context, possibly more than mechanical and electrical have in the past in terms of those programs that we did. The opportunity that we're putting forward to you is to take part in GMEC in an online manner next year. We will still deliver teacher professional learning, but we'll deliver it through webinars, probably in the months of November and December next year. There'll be about 1 hour, 1 hour 15, something of that nature, and we can decide on what the best time to do that, whether it's within school or after school. You know me, I always prefer to do it within school time, but we're accepting and understanding of the circumstances that we'll be in at that point. It won't be a full day as we've done in the past. It will be segmented in order that there will be a series of CPD opportunities where we talk really openly about the links within the curriculum. We'll take you through some pupil activities and tasks that are designed or will be designed for you to use in school with children in preparation for the GMEC challenge. I know that teachers who have done it before might say, well, is it the same as last year? Well, it'll be the same last year as in the task, but obviously you've got different children now this year, and always with these things will morph as we develop them and write them, because we'll always make better, and in particular what we'll be making better are the embedded links of mathematics within the work, by working with the GM Maths Hub specialists as well, to bring that maths strength really quite closely into this, really seeing this maybe as an intervention for children who are less confident with maths in year 5 and year 6 and their preparation towards SATs. So you'll be then asked in January, February time to do some of those in-school activities, just like as teachers did last year. Short activities based on researching a plot of land. You'll have all of the imagery and things. You won't need it to go out. You'll have everything there and provided for, and you'll also be linked to an industry partner should you wish it. So you'll be able to have this type of virtual engagement with real engineers such as Lauren, or people from Balfour Beatty and different STEM ambassadors who will be able to connect with you, to talk with the children about their profession, about their role, and to support the children and communicate about the research that they're doing and the ideas that they're coming up with. Now, usually we would do an off-site challenge experience and bring children to the university, but this time, to make sure that we can continue, we're actually going to ask that you do an on-site challenge experience. We expect that that can actually now hit even more children than it had in the past, because you'd usually bring small groups to us of 8 or 9 pupils. This now opens that playing field that you can involve your whole class, and you can do it across year groups and actually just take over the school hall or your classroom and do a similar experience together. Depending on where we are in March, gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if we were in a situation where we can come together between schools, which can still happen, but we'll obviously with you be able to just seek out what the best position is at that time. If we can do something at the university, we will, but the main premise will be wherever you are UK-wide, you can actually be doing these challenges within your own environment and still connecting with the industry partners to have those conversations, and where we can facilitate school to school communication as well, so children from one school can be sharing their work with another school. That would be really, really special as well. So yeah, teacher professional development tasks that are pre-developed by teachers, by practicing teachers, and tried and tested, running up to British Science and Engineering Week, which is usually the 2nd week of March. We think that's a good time. If you feel that there is a better time, you'll be able to be flexible with that date, but we felt that that would be a good time, pre-examination time, to be able to get the challenge out of the way, and that's the usual time that we would run it. Okay, so in terms of reach and impact, and then I'm going to hand back to you to have a think about any questions and how this can support your endeavour to develop STEM engagement in your school. We are speaking with industry partners at the moment. We'll get in people to sign up to fund, because at the end of the day this does need funding. And our basic reach at the moment was suggesting that we're going to try and engage at least 30 schools, primary or secondary, but there'll be a good bridge across both of those areas. We feel that's really conservative, and we'll probably blow that number out of the water quite quickly, but you have to start somewhere. So we thought, okay, we'll go for 30 schools for now. We will, obviously, the year groups will year 5, 6 and 7, because that means that we can really attune the experience and support the industry partners best to communicate with children of those age phases. That means that there'll be quite a number of pupils who've got the intensive experience, but we also look towards you engaging the rest of the school through display work, through communication that the children can have periodically through assemblies or some types of showcase events that can happen within school, and to include your families in that as much as possible as well. So don't just rely on our engineers. You know, you will have families who are who've got dads, granddads, aunties, uncles who are engineers, who can also be part of the dissemination, or they can be part of the experience in some way, whether it's inviting parents to assemblies, etc. With all of this type of funding, there's often a lot of priority put to put schools in areas of social disadvantage, and there will be a priority phasing for them in order to receive the information. And also, if we do go way above the numbers, that there'll need to be a prioritisation based on enabling those in more deprived areas to take part and be inclusive. And so if you can let us know, there's going to be 2 actions. When you go back to your inbox after this meeting, there'll be an email sent from our team with a short response that just says, yes, I'm interested to get the application and to further my interest in doing GMEC with the school from September. And then we thought we'd leave the actual application to September, so that by that time we'll know exactly how many industry partners that we have secured funding from and engagement from, and we might be able to move that number of 30 a bit wider. At that point, we'll just be looking to see if you can provide us with a little bit of information about the school, and possibly some commentary on how this programme will support your whole school improvement plan implementation. How will it dovetail and support you to achieve the goals that you really want to? So just bear that in mind. 200 words isn't a lot. It's just trying to get a firm understanding that it's going to have the leadership support that you will need and you'll benefit from to take these projects further. So I'm going to ask Kate just to nip you back into a Zoom room, because I'm conscious we've talked at you and I'd like you to talk to each other, and just to consider for what we're on, probably just 5 minutes, 2 stars and a wish. You know me, I'm a primary teacher at heart. How can GMEC support you to achieve your goals with children in your school next year in particular? And what questions do you wish us to address and answer before the end of this session? So,
might be worth saying that again.
Okay, so now that you're back, if you can pop some thoughts into the chat function, any of the questions that we can address for you at this stage, and also any of those, what we said were the stars. What can GMEC do for you moving forward into your new area of the curriculum next year? Did you manage to have a chat about that? Okay, so we'll start with some of the questions. Rachel, hi Rachel. We know Rachel's from a primary school. Is it Rochdale, Rachel? Am I right? I'll be wrong. How much time is needed in school with the children? Okay, shall I bounce that one to you, Julie, or maybe one of the teachers from last year? But Julie, what do you reckon? How many lessons did we?
Well, it depends. It depends how. I think now that we're not focusing on individual groups. It depends how much time you want to spend on it, really. I mean, I would probably do this as maybe a week's project. And spend some intensive time on it in maths and literacy and science and in your topic work. But again, it's really up to you how much you want to get out of it. It'd be interesting to see, Claire Day, how long did you spend on it with your year 3/4s?
Are you happy to?
We did it over 2 weeks.
Over 2 weeks, yeah.
How many
But
afternoons?
we were still doing normal maths and English and everything in the morning, so we only had afternoons. It did take them a little bit longer to go through and adjust to everything.
Yeah.
But can you see a way of sort of incorporating this into some of your maths lessons?
Not. It'd have to sort of be a, like you say, I think a theme sort of project week, because we follow a scheme for maths. But we could definitely work it more into our English and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you were looking at an absolute minimum, you'd need at least 3 or 4 good afternoons to get the children. They're going to do some research around sustainability. They're going to look at the space. You're going to talk about creatively what you want to design into that space. So I think if you're looking at a bare minimum, you'll need at least 3 or 4 afternoons between January and March. So you might just take, but then, as they say, once you've got creative teachers, and you'll see in the application and the opportunity, then obviously you can take it wider, and obviously into homeworks. I know there's a lot of people used homework time to do further research on a particular area of sustainability, or they surveyed parents about well-being and things like that. It's we can give examples.
Do you want to answer
what people did?
Yeah, I was going to say, Lynn, do you want to answer that cost implication?
Yeah, there's no cost implication to yourselves. Some of the reason that we're trying to squeeze some businesses out of some funding is that we put funding into schools, especially those in areas of social disadvantage who might not have resources, even just creative resources to actually do the build eventually. We are bidding to the businesses to try and create bursaries for schools. So I'm talking £200 or something of that nature, but at least would give you a kit resource to be able to spend. That's what my job is, and we'll be working on that up to the end of July, and we'll have a much better picture of that by early September. But to actually come on the webinars and to take part, no, there is no cost applied to that at all.
And the engineering visits as well, they're completely free, aren't they?
We'll connect with an engineer, and then we will broker that conversation. And obviously there's a lot more to do with risk assessments now with it being virtual, but it will be brokered through yourselves, and the amount of time taken we'll match you with business partners who want to have ongoing engagement and chat with classrooms. All of the business partners so far are absolutely passionate about working with primary schools. It's new to them. They mainly work with secondaries, and they're very excited about this, but we need to help them as well do that well. Okay.
Also, the materials that we use, they are generally recyclable, aren't they? So there's no real cost in the build and create either.
I'm not sure if Steph's got her ear on this chat. Steph, you purchased a lot of the resources last year for us, didn't you? Through are you there, Steph?
I am. I'm listening.
Brilliant. So Steph is our business officer and is massively passionate about doing everything environmentally friendly. She's certainly got me up to speed. But Steph, in terms of finding those resources, what kind of resources were you buying last year for the final day?
Well, as you said, we did try to recycle as much as we could, but because it was a large event with many schools coming, we did have to resort to buying some things. So we found some craft suppliers. So we bought things like cork sheeting, specialist glue and things like that from specialist suppliers. And if there was anything like that we recommended, we could supply a nice list of the sort of things you might need and what you should be paying. For that sort of thing. And
often you can send a letter out, can't you? I've done before to parents saying that you're about to embark upon this project, and these are the sort of the things that you would need, and you find that there will be people who can help you resource them.
But the sticky glue was because we were on a real time. The people who were engaged last year, we were on a real time limit between the time we had to get children into the hall and back out to school. You won't be on those time limits because it'll be in situ. So allowing things to dry, we had to dry within minutes, not hours. So we needed people in, out. So you won't need some of those more specialist things. But a few of us spent times walking around the woods to collect sticks and bits and pieces. There was cardboard. We were bringing our old Amazon boxes in. If you know you're going to do this, you can be collecting as from September onwards, in order that you don't need to be buying stuff at cost. And then the rest was sugar paper and green tissue paper and things like that to actually do the final build. So it's stuff that you'll have in. Secondaries might be a bit more luxurious with their cutting tools and things like that. But again, a great opportunity to ask and speak to your secondary schools about the loan of bits of equipment if required, but it isn't equipment heavy. Donna, will it be based on the same plot of land as last year? It possibly will be. I'll say it's more likely to be yes than no. However, we're not in the creative development stage at the moment. Jacobs Engineering, who supported us through that last year, are coming on board, and we've got a conversation due with them. If a business or company can identify a new plot of land, then we could put some various options to you. The final plot will more, we probably the final challenge plot will likely be different. But we've got quite a lot of resources, and the 3D imaging that, there was a film that was made of a plot of land up in Oldham with a drone. We managed to get up there to do a 3D walkthrough, so the children could actually walk through that environment, whichever school that they're in. And again, we're just more challenged with where things are at the moment. So we'll capitalise on some of the resources that we had, but also make better and refine others where necessary. And Donna does say actually that the drone video was really good, so thank you, Donna. All right, anyone else spotted any other questions? Year 5 loved it, great. Who S-Bold said
that's good. A full half term.
We took a full half term to give it depth. Lovely. This year we've adapted, and on those webinars we'll have time to talk, especially if people are carrying forward from last year in terms of the implementation and how best to do it. If you're doing primary science quality mark, anything like that, this is a great program, especially to get into the, how do you enable children to understand the uses and applications of science in the world around us. It is the aim 3 of the science national curriculum, and no one ever does it. Don't say no one, that's really judgmental. It's not as well done as the knowledge and understanding and working scientifically, let's say. When will we have the application in for? So there'll be more than likely we'll do it as we always do in terms of a phased application process. Depending on who funds, what we will need to do is we'll do a priority phasing. So the application will come through. It'll be open for a good couple of weeks, if not longer. I would say a minimum of 2 weeks is how long the application would be open for. But I think, Julie, we usually have it open for at least a month, don't we, if not more?
Yeah, and it's September we'll put it out.
Put it out in September, and as I say, because we know that September's going to be a fun month, getting everybody back or whatever it's going to be. We're going to lay off you, so we expect that after half term, October half term, that's when we'll kick off with some of the webinars. So, and I expect that we'll finish no later than the second week of December. Because maybe we will be able to have a school nativity play. I don't know. We'll see. Virtual, if nothing else. Any other questions, guys? Okay, if not, that brings us exactly to 4 o'clock. We will save the chat, and you should have an email in your inbox. We'll hang about for the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes online. But otherwise, it's lovely to see so many familiar faces, and welcome back, everyone. And it's great to have you re-engaging, and we'll see you soon.